Are we ready for me to offend the Trumpies? Because that's what I'm about to do, okay? Our next story that we're going to be getting into, it does involve President Trump. Let's just call it like it is, and some people are not going to like what I'm going to be talking about. Because President Trump has endorsed Dr. Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, another television guy. Now, I have a problem with this because it kind of proves the ignorance of President Trump. And here's the thing. I get it. A lot of us want to believe that President Trump is playing 4D chess all the time, that somehow he knows. A Bourbon Review channel would be good. I like that idea. A Bourbon Review channel. I'll co-host it with you, brother. I'll co-host a Bourbon Review channel with you. This is one of those things that I don't think a lot of people pays attention to, and it's sometimes the ignorance or sometimes the populist mentality of President Trump. And I think this can come back to bite him in the ass. Trump allies claim he was played after endorsing TV's Dr. Oz for Senate seat. Let me ask a question. Why would anyone endorse Dr. Oz? This is a dude that promoted trannies. This is a dude that promoted abortion. He didn't change his positions till just recently, much like President Trump. President Trump was a liberal for a long, long time. And a lot of Trump allies are pretty upset about this endorsement. And there's good reasons for them being upset. If you look at this article, it tells you, it says MAGA's turning on Trump. Or you can look at it this a little different. Maybe Trump's turning on MAGA. MAGA turns on Trump for endorsing Dr. Oz. Supporters tear into TV stars' past comments on abortion and transgender issues after ex-president gives him prized backing in Pennsylvania Senate race. Some of President Trump's most vocal allies are grumbling over his decision to back Dr. Mehmet Oz, this TV doctor. Conservatives were quick to point out that Oz previously expressed support for Roe versus Wade. That's number one. And highlighted transgender children on his television show. He supports abortion, and he highlighted and supported transgendered children. And Trump just stumbled into, all because he's a TV star? Stop it. And you guys know I'm going to speak the truth. That this is not a very conservative doc, says Human Events' Jack Posobiec, a Pennsylvania native, sharing footage of Oz's episode on transgender kid. Trump had originally backed Sean Parnell. I remember that because he was on Timcast, who pulled out of the race amid a custody dispute with his ex-wife. Just to show you some of the things. In case you don't know who Dr. Oz is, that's him right there. Dr. Oz wants to get rid of the Second Amendment. Exactly. But then again, we'll talk about that in a little bit because I think a lot of people are failing to mention some things or realizing some things about Trump. Here's Dr. Oz promoting transgenderism in children. In the full episode, he even promotes surgery for children. I want this to sink in. And listen, you can vote for who you want, but I'm here to tell you the truth always. President Trump just endorsed a man that promoted and endorsed trans children, surgery for children. What's up, Mary Beth? And Roe versus Wade. You cannot overlook this. I guess you can, but I'm not going to. Hi, Dr. Oz, remember when you tried to use the CDC to enforce gun control? Enjoy the receipts. This is in March of 2018. Dr. Oz says right now the CDC Gov is not funded to study gun violence in this country. It's time we treat shootings as a public health problem. Contact your congressman today to demand they fund the CDC for comprehensive gun violence. In the ban, congress.gov. Trump has made some strange decisions since losing the election. That's exactly right. And we cannot overlook these just because we like some of his policies. You have to ask yourself, how do you feel about this guy pushing the jab? How do you feel about President Trump pushing red flag laws, which we'll get to here in just a second? And how do you feel about him endorsing Dr. Oz right here just because of his celebrity, even though Dr. Oz is pro-abortion and pro-tranny? We cannot be sheep. Sean Parnell says, you are not America first. You're not a conservative. You're not even from Pennsylvania. Talking about Dr. Oz. Eric Erickson says it's like Donald Trump's staff is sabotaging Trump by convincing him to make the world's worst endorsements. You don't know squat about wrestling, says Tevin11. We're not even discussing wrestling, but I know way more than you do, Tevin11. I've watched wrestling for 40 years, Tevin11. What have you done? But since you're here, let's have the discussion. Would you like to come on the panel? Because I guarantee you, I can out-trivia you right now with it. What's up, Adam? But I guarantee you can't out-trivia me. Yes, dude wearing a suit with a beanie. You didn't say anything at all. So, Tevin, let me ask you a question. Instead of just talking like an idiot before we block you, make your wrestling statement and then that's it. Then let's have the conversation. We're doing a show on something else. Yeah, he's a troll. Let him have his discussion. What up, Truce Up? How can you, someone that hasn't watched wrestling for 40 years, know anything more about wrestling than someone that's watched it for 40 years? Just curious. But I obviously see you're a gay man because you're concerned with my outfit. Are you a gay man, Tevin11? Now let's get back to the show. You're a WWE casual. I've watched every event and pay-per-view for 40 years. You don't even know how to spell the word your. But you're talking about me saying I am a casual, even though I've watched every Raw, every SmackDown, every other company, and their pay-per-views for 40 years. But go ahead. I'll let you continue. Who won at WrestleMania 4? That would be the Macho Man Randy Savage. Main event, he battled Ted DiBiase in the finals of the WWE Championship Tournament in Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. That's exactly what happened. The reason Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant wasn't in the main event is because they got a double count out, double disqualification in the second round, or no, it was the first round of the tournament. Thank you, Tim. But anyways, my friend, and you see I didn't Google anything. No Google needed at all, not when it comes to wrestling. It's what I'm good at. I'm sure I could be stumped, but it takes a tough cookie to get me on that one. So, but yes. So anyway, he said he's a GW fan. This is KD. GCW. Yes, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is, KD. But anyway, so I assume the troll's done. Everybody knows who won WrestleMania 4. Then ask me another question, dickhead. And then ask me another question. The chicken wing, the cross-faced chicken wing, Troy, is the answer to your question. He says, what was Bob Backlund's favorite ode? His finishing ode was the cross-faced chicken wing. He actually won the title by beating Bret Hart with that same thing. I think he was 54 years old when he won the WWE title. Exactly, Lizzie. Who left WrestleMania 9 with the world title? That would be Hulk Hogan. After Bret Hart against Yokozuna went sideways, Hulk Hogan came out with the black eye. He actually had an injury from training. He came out with a black eye after Yokozuna beat Bret Hart when Mr. Fuji threw the salt in Bret Hart's eyes. He then beat Hulk Hogan. He then quickly beat Yokozuna to walk away with the title. That same event, The Undertaker got put to sleep and won the match against the Giant Gonzalez when the Giant Gonzalez put the shit on the rag and put it over his face. Everybody was in toga outfits at WrestleMania 9. That was Jim Ross's first event with the WWE at WrestleMania 9. Okay, so there we go. So as you can see, the other jackass shut the fuck up. He ain't got shit else to say. Everybody knows who won WrestleMania 4. Right. Anyways. So you got to do better than that. Chloroform. That's exactly what it was. Exactly. Giant Gonzalez, he actually was in WCW under the name Elegante. Which wrestler's big move was the camel clutch. That would be the Iron Sheik. That would be the Iron Sheik. Hold on, what was Sergeant Slaughter's? Yeah, the Iron Sheik had the camel clutch. Humble you. He humbled. You ever seen his shoot interviews? I humble Hulk Hogan and the Yeti. The Yeti was actually Diesel, Kevin Nash. No. The Yeti was the Yeti because Kevin Nash was Oz. Kevin Nash was Oz, the big green motherfucker. I was wrong. Kevin Nash was Oz, but yes, he was the Yeti. You're exactly right. 100% right. All right, so I was wrong there. But I quickly corrected. No Google. Yeah, so that little young punk, he came in here. Hogan left WrestleMania 9 with the title. That's exactly right. That's what I said. Yokozuna beat Bret Hart. Hogan left WrestleMania 9 with the title. Yeah, man. Nah, man, I've been a wrestling encyclopedia is about right. It's the one thing I've always followed my entire life. And that little young motherfucker that was just in here, he don't know what the fuck to say. He's over there looking stupid. JB, in the 90s, I liked the Steiner brothers. I did as well. My favorite team, though, was Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. The Brainbusters, who won the first WrestleMania. Well, the main event was Hulk Hogan and Superfly Jimmy Snuka against Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff with Cowboy Bob Orton in their corner. Hulk Hogan won when Cowboy Bob Orton came off the top rope with the boot, and he actually slammed it into the head of Paul Orndorff. Hulk Hogan hit him with the leg drop. That was the end of the match. Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Snuka beat Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. Mr. Wonderful. There we go. Ever heard of SOS? No. What is SOS? My first tag team, I was like the Road Warriors. There you go. Mr. T was the outside enforcer, not the ref. He was outside, kind of a ref. He's off Googling more questions for you, JB. Exactly, buddy. Exactly. All right, so now that we put the youngin in his place, back to the MAGA shit. Back to the MAGA shit. So Trump announced his support for Dr. Oz. Mo Brooks, who Trump recently turned on just because Mo Brooks told him, hey, we need to move past 2020. He said this is happening because Trump surrounded himself by staff who are on McConnell's payroll and hostile to the MAGA agenda. Everyone's telling Trump who to endorse in primaries. Works for the swamp. That's exactly right. Vinny Vegas, that's right. That's exactly right. That was back when Scott Hall was the Diamond Stud. The Diamond Stud was managed by Diamond Dallas Page and the Diamond Dog, Kimberly Page. Vinny Vegas, the Diamond Stud. Later became Scott or Diesel and Razor Ramon. Then later became Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Everyone will Google thinks they're an expert. Exactly. That's why I've kept my hands in the scene. You can tell I'm not Googling. AZ, did you mean Queen Bird time? What's up, Queen Bird? Good to see you. Good to see you. So listen, I think this is a bad move for Trump. I do believe that it's a horrible move for Trump. And let me tell you something. They're going to try to pour on Trump going into the midterms. And Russia's not helping us right now. The brain busters, exactly. Putin's top pundits say plans for the U.S. include Russia's partner Trump and Tulsi Gabbard on the ticket in 2024, and more interference in the elections. Now, let me say this, okay? There's one thing that I believe out of here. With Trump endorsing Dr. Oz, with Trump's history, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump picked Tulsi Gabbard to run with him. Let's not forget Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Bernie Sanders. Midnight Express is great. Let's not forget that Tulsi Gabbard claimed to be a progressive Democrat. Bret Hart was my favorite when I was a kid. Mine too, Giga Chad. Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler, but I think Ric Flair is the greatest of my generation. Tulsi Gabbard is hot, but I don't want her to be vice president. She's a veteran. I love her to death. He said, might stump JB with some lucha libre stuff. A little bit. I think you can do it there. Exactly. He's going to be 80 years old in 2025. That's exactly right, Troy. This is why I think we as Americans, we need to start focusing on Ron DeSantis. He has less baggage. Russia's saying we got to help Trump and Tulsi Gabbard get back in on their national television. It's not going to go well for Trump if with these endorsements, with things like this. And this is just the recent shit, okay? I was already upset with Trump regarding two things, and let me show you those two things, okay? President Trump calls for red flag gun laws. I don't want a president, or I don't want any conservatives calling for gun restrictions. I don't want any conservative calling for any gun control at all. Trump takes credit for the vaccine rollout. One of the greatest miracles of our ages. Do you know how many people has died due to that? I can't talk about it because we're on YouTube. I saw Brett and Anvil wrestle at a WWF event. Won the ticket on a radio call-in. Good times. They wrestled the Bulldogs. That was some of the best stuff we'd seen. Dynamite Kid, one of the most excellent and underrated wrestlers of all time. Chris Benoit's hero. Women in power hadn't worked so far. I would rather it be old white guys. Yeah. And I don't mind. Listen, I'm not against Tulsi Gabbard except for her politics. She's from Hawaii and she's a liberal. She's not a conservative. She is a patriot, though. I like Tulsi Gabbard. But I don't want her in the White House. My favorite was always Mankind. I liked Mankind better when he was Cactus Jack. Bang, bang! If y'all never saw Cactus Jack in the WCW days, bang, bang! That was my shit. Him and Vader going at it. That's a good one, Giga Chat. Identity politics sucks. We're both Dems and Republicans. Exactly. Agree completely. So in closing, Trump is making some slip-ups right now. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis has raised $100 million. Meanwhile, I agree about Tulsi. Tulsi's a good person. I don't dislike Tulsi Gabbard. I just don't want her and her liberal politics in the White House. Right? I mean, I'll take her before I'll take Joe Biden. George Animal Steel. Yes. Exactly. Exactly, Tim. Too many people overlook her liberal positions because she's fuckable. Right? Listen, just like Sarah Palin's back to running for Congress. I'm okay with that. She's a little bit older, but she was dumb back in the day. But because Sarah Palin was fuckable, people was like, hey. Yeah. And she's kind of patriotic. I mean, I would pick Palin over Gabbard. But I don't want people I would fuck in government. I don't want people I would fuck in government, period. JB, you know you would hit Gabby 100 times. 100 times. Exactly, Arizona. Ran with Songbird McCain, exactly. So listen, in closing, when it comes to Trump, I think the endorsement of Dr. Oz is a mistake. I don't know what's going on with Trump and why he's making so many Mean Mark Callis and the Heart Punch. Do you remember, Bernie, when Mean Mark Callis was tag teams with Dangerous Dan Spivey? They were called the Skyscrapers after Sid Vicious got hurt. How much to smash Pocahontas? $1 million. I'll do it for $1 million. I'm a businessman. I'd do it for $100,000, to be honest. I'd smash for $100,000. But I'd fuck Troy for $100,000. Okay, I'm joking there. That would have to be in the millions. But you get my point. Like, I'm a businessman. Like Ted DiBiase used to say, everybody's got a price. Yeah, I don't trust Dr. Oz. You can't trust him. And so I don't know what it is with Trump's recent decision making, whether it be the red flag laws, him going nuts about this jab, the endorsement of Dr. He said, "Bite me, bitch." Or I don't get it. Well, all Republicans end up disappointing the base. DeSantis probably will too. And I agree with that. Give him $5 worth, JB. No. And I agree with that. And listen, this is why I tell you guys, I do not believe that the voting booth is the way out of this. And you know what? Let me poll the audience. Civil war for 1, voting for 2, or 3, we'll just work it out. Do you see the point? Like, what is the way out of all of this? I believe the only way is civil war, so I'm a 1 guy. Some of you probably believe, well, if I just go and vote, it'll help, it will take care of it. Right. And then some of you are like, well, we'll just see how it all plays itself out. So 1 for civil war, 2 for voting, 3 for, fuck it. We'll just see how it works. You know what I'm saying? Don't tempt JB. He's a dickhead. He'll put a Snickers on your pillow. Exactly, Mike. Of course, KD just says 4. He don't ever answer. He's like, what's the progressive answer, JB? Junkyard Dog was cool. Yes. What's up, Leslie? Dr. Oz said on Hannity that he was pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-America first. Yeah, he says it now. But see, I don't forget what people have done. How about 4 for separation? That's a good one. National divorce. But see, here's the thing. I think that can only exist through civil war. Let's keep in mind, okay, that they will never, ever let a state secede. So the idea of just separating, that would take a hell of a fucking politician to say, all right, we're going to cut this off. You libs over here, we're over here. That would be hard to do. Exactly, Troy. Do you remember the old cartoon where it was Hogan against Piper? Yes, that was called wrestling, something of wrestling. Something of wrestling. What the fuck was that cartoon? I'm not going to Google it. Something of wrestling. It was on MTV. Of Wrestling heroes of wrestling. I believe it was. So Google that for me. I'm not going to Google it. I think it was called Heroes of Wrestling. I may be wrong. But let me know, Mike, if I was right. I think that's what it was called, Heroes of Wrestling. You did it with England. No, that's a good point, Martina. That's a very good point. But I think that was the cartoon back in the day. Remember when they had the ice cream bars? I say 4 if it doesn't work, then 1 if it doesn't work out. It makes sense. Yeah, they can secede, but what makes you think the United States would allow it? You think the United States would ever allow Texas to secede? No, they'd go to war. And then what's funny is United States would look like Russia. Rock and wrestling, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was, rock and wrestling. Let me explain this to you. If Russia or if Texas tried to secede, the United States would Putin the shit out of Texas. They'd be like, Texas, just like Ukraine, is not its own state. It's not its own country. That's our shit. We're going to take it back. That's exactly what they would do. 100%. If Puerto Rico tried to do it, we would go to war with them. Exactly, Faith D. Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely in the Constitution they can do it, in the state constitution, but it doesn't mean America will let them without going to war, is my point. Let's see here. We got a few things. What is it, 2:35? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this episode because I still got a few stories. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and maybe do a nighttime show because I'm going to finish up the 4 more stories I got. But these 4 stories, just knowing how we talk back and forth, would probably be an hour. So I think what I may do is take a break, come back maybe 8 o'clock and do the rest of these. So I think that's probably the plan so we can move on with our day. Because I'm not going to do any news videos today. I think I'm going to take off doing regular news videos until JB Gunner TV is back, and I'll just do these streams. Because nobody's watching them on Odyssey and Rumble, really, or the backup channel. Sometimes they do. So I may do a couple, like if breaking news happens, like a big story happens, and I've already did my stream that morning, I probably will do one. But I think for now, all I got to do is wait this month out. We're already at the 12th. And then come May, I'll have JB Gunner TV back. Yeah, so I'll come back later tonight. We'll call this a show here. We'll call this a show. We're 2 hours and 37 minutes in. Tracy says, I watch, Mike watches. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And I will definitely get some out. I definitely will get some out. I'm going to wait till some breaking news happens, though. But today, I'll be back, and we'll do our World War III report when we come back. We'll talk about Metaverse. Metaverse has now got... You can murder someone in Metaverse and be charged with it now. Thank you, Giga Chad. Appreciate you, brother. Chimping Out. We'll talk about Chimping Out. And then, of course, Sugar Daddy Juror. We'll talk about that as well. I like Odyssey. Free crypto. Exactly. I appreciate all of you guys, man. Thank you to everybody that hit the tip jar. Thank you to everybody that didn't. You guys are awesome people. I'm JB Gunner. This has been the JB Gunner Show. I will see you back tonight at 8 p.m., and we'll continue on with the second part of this. If you guys are just getting here, the chemical warfare, that's actually the next story I was going to talk about. Russia, they're claiming, has used chemical weapons, but also Russia's been warning us that they would use that false flag attack concept. We'll talk about it tonight because we'll lead with World War III tonight. All right, guys, I love you guys. Thank you to everybody that was here. I will be back for you guys tonight for a nighttime show. We'll wrap up these stories. We'll get those things done, and maybe some new shit will break between now and then. Either way, man, you guys all... Yeah, KD is behaving today. He's being extremely... He's doing all right. Thank you to all of you. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. I will be taking this down and putting it over on UNS for proof. Exactly. I will be taking this down and putting it over on the other the Odyssey and the Rumble, along with the clips. And I will see you in a little bit. I gather I was late. Yes, Leslie. Love you guys. Later, says KD. Later, all of you. KD, stay away from the cats. Later on, Kira. You guys all have a good one, man. Y'all be cool.